all day 2 stuff. Number 1 from review day 2, I need everybody to pay attention to. So if you don't have review day 2 handy, make sure it's out and ready to go. The thing I'm going to show you for number 1, that's everybody. Number 5 probably would be a good idea for everybody. Number 8 is not, I'm not going to do the entire question. I'm just going to explain something. I would say everybody. All right. So number 1, we're not doing very much. Number 1 is write the transformations, find the vertex, find the axis of symmetry, y-intercept, x-intercept. Is it a min or a max? What's the value? Domain and range, graph it. But then there's one thing in here we have explained but haven't done. Or maybe I didn't explain it to your class. I can't remember if I got that far. Okay, so we're going to go over increase, decrease right now. All right, that's what I'm going to go over. Before I do that, we do need to kind of know something about the graph before we can do increase, decrease. So we're going to start. I'm going to ignore transformations for now. That you can fill in. But I'm going to look at the vertex. This is in vertex form, or you can say it's in standard form. I like vertex form better, so I'm going to say it's in vertex form. The problem is when you were in vertex form, you have like a and you've got like x minus h squared plus k. What does this form not have? And it makes you think it's not vertex form. It doesn't have the h, right? So if I rewrote this so it has the h, it would be 0. So my h would be 0. That's why there's no parentheses and it's just squared, because there isn't anything inside. So my vertex is at 0, 4. Axis of symmetry is always x equals, and then where can I get that from? Right above it, 0. The axis of symmetry is the x part of the vertex. So I'm going to go over it. I'm going to plot those really fast. Vertex is at 0, 4. Axis of symmetry is x equals 0. It goes through the vertex. There's something else I know for sure about this graph. It starts with a negative. And what does that negative tell me? Yeah, there's a reflection. So when I actually go and I graph this one, it will be facing down. Okay? Now, I just made a quick graph. You need to find the information. I'm going to explain to you increase, decrease. By the way, is this a max or a min? This is a max. What is the max value for this? Right, 4. Okay, so increasing, decreasing. Imagine you are riding a roller coaster, and we only ride roller coasters from left to right. And as I'm riding this roller coaster on the left side, I'm going uphill. On the right side, I'm going downhill. So what I start out by saying is this is increasing. On the other side, downhill, I write decrease. You don't have to write it, but I'm writing what I'm saying. Decreasing. So you don't have to write it. I'm writing what I'm saying so everybody knows, those visual people. You know what I'm doing. Now, to answer increasing, decreasing, you're going to have 2 sentences. You don't need to write 2 sentences. Like, you don't have to write when I'm writing. I'm just telling you. You're going to have 2 sentences. The first sentence is going to be increasing to the left of, and then we write our axis of symmetry, x equals 0, that middle x equals 0. So on the left, we are increasing. That's what I wrote, increasing to the left of x equals 0. That was sentence number 1. Sentence number 2, we're looking on the right side, decreasing to the right of x equals 0. Did we go over that in this class yet? Or is this class I skipped? I know I skipped one of my classes. Is this familiar, or is this the first time you felt like you're seated? Maybe once? Okay. So where you can find that, if you need to go back, it is in our note, and I have the it open, but it's in our notes 2.2. If you need to go back and find it, if you go to your notes 2.2, it's this core concept. It's got minimum and maximum values, and then it's in those notes. So we did it, but barely. It's not hard. But if you need to refer to it, we just wrote these. Oh, my pen turned off. We just wrote. Oh no, it's not turned off. It's this. We just wrote these two. Those are the two we just wrote because it was an upside down one. If it was the regular parabola without a reflection, you would write these two. Okay. So if you need to refer back to that, it was in notes 2.2. Now, I did not do all of this question. I skipped things that you should already be able to do. That was question 1. Next, we're looking at is question 5. A word problem. Yay! For those of you on the video, everybody is cheering and clapping and standing O right now. No? Okay. So a certain company's main source of income is selling cloth bracelets. The company's annual profit in thousands of dollars, I'm going to highlight annual profit in thousands of dollars, as a function of the price of a bracelet in dollars, is modeled by, and then they gave us an equation. So this equation explains how they get their profit depending on how much they sell their bracelets for. Okay. You have to figure out of the two things I highlighted, what is the X and what is the Y, so we know what to find later. So to know if it's an X or Y, I've got 2 ways you could figure it out. So one way you could figure it out would be just using brain power and common sense. One of these is an independent variable and the other one is a dependent. That means one of them is the input, the other one's the output. That means I have to know how much of one of them to determine how much of the other one happens. So out of making profit and the price of a bracelet, does anybody know what I need to know first? You're going to have a company someday. You're going to be a business owner, work in business. If you want to sell something, do you know how much you sell it for first, or do you make profit first? You got to know how much you're selling it for, or you can't make any profit. Profit comes after you sell the bracelets. So this here is the input. This is that X value. You have to know the price of the bracelet first. Then the money starts rolling in. So our dependent, or our output, or our Y value, is how much you make annually. So that's one way of looking at it to find what the X or Y is. Another way, now sometimes they just tell you X is the bracelet price or something. Sometimes they'll just tell you. But if they don't tell you, another way we can find it is using these words, a function of. When I see the words function of, I know that means F of. And what comes after F of X? This is the X. So if I have F of, function of, F of X, that's the X. So that means this one has to be the Y. Okay. The question is, what bracelet price should the company set to earn this maximum profit? I'm looking at my equation and I notice it starts with a -2. What does that tell me about the picture if I were to graph it? We've got a reflection, right? Like if the price is low, I'm not going to make much profit. If the price is way too high, I'm not going to sell that much, so I'm not going to make much profit. We got to find that sweet spot right in the middle where the price is right and I make the most profit possible. So I need my maximum profit. When you see that word maximum, what do you think I need to find? Okay. The vertex will give me the highest point. Right? So I've got a plan. I need to find the vertex. Went through it all. I've got a plan. I need to find the vertex. So looking at this equation, what form is that equation of my three forms? Is it vertex form? It's not, because there's no like x minus h squared thing going on there. What form is this one? Standard form. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. So we can, when we have it in this form, we can find the AOS first. That's the first thing I can find. We need to know our formula, so I write it every single time. Negative b over 2a. X equals negative b over 2a. Now I put my negative sign and I go and I find b. B is 16. Over 2 times I go find a is negative 2. So I get negative 16 over negative 4, which is positive 4. My axis of symmetry is x equals 4. Once I have my axis of symmetry, now I can find my vertex, because the axis of symmetry is the x part. How do I do the y? Now plug it in. I got to do, this is a p, not an f, p of 4. So I'm going to go p of 4 equals negative 2 times 4 squared plus 16 times 4 minus 24. I put the 4s in for x in the equation they gave us. Now we order of operations. PEMDAS, order of operations. On the left side, P of 4 is Y. I don't have to do anything with that. Order of operations, there is no parentheses, so that one's done. Exponents, I do have an exponent. 4 squared is 16. After exponents, we've got multiplication or division from left to right. So I come to multiply first, that's negative 32. I come to another multiply, 64, and then just minus 24. So I've used multiplication division. I'm now at addition subtraction, left to right. So I'm going to first take negative 32 plus 64, and that is positive 32. Then subtract 24, and I get 8. So my vertex is at 4, 8. What do I have to find? No. We're going to read it again. What bracelet price should the company set to earn this maximum profit? What represents the bracelet price? Okay. When we talk about the maximum, we're talking about the vertex, but really we're talking about the y value of the vertex. The x is the bracelet price. That's why I wrote it originally. So how much does the bracelet cost? Sell bracelet for how many dollars? So I hear 4 and 8 at the same time. What variable represents the price of the bracelet? Andrew, what variable, I'm circling it, represents the price of the bracelet? X. So what answer is the X? 4. Sell the bracelet for $4 to make a max profit of how much money? Who said that? Who said the answer? I don't know who it was. It was a girl. Who was it? What did you say? I don't know. Yeah, 8,000 is correct. I see an 8. Where's she getting 8,000 from? Right there, it says in thousands of dollars. So when we get an 8, that really means $8,000. Okay, so we sold the bracelet. That doesn't look like bracelet. I'm going to fix my handwriting. Sold the bracelet for $4 to make a max profit of $8,000. So that $4 was really the answer, but since it's a word problem, I explained my answer. Okay, so this part might be a part where you struggle a little bit because there's words. I just want to show you one more, and I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to explain because these here, number 6 talks about maximum. Number 7 talks about maximum. But number 8 says nothing about maximum. So I just look at number 8 real fast. Number 8 says we have a rocket. No, it's not even a rocket. It's an object. Okay, an object is launched from a platform. I saw launched and I just thought rocket. So we've got some platform and this thing is launched. It goes up in the air and then gravity takes over and it comes back down. And this says how many seconds after the launch will the object hit the ground. So I'm trying to make this picture into a graph where it says X seconds. So X is the seconds. And then it says its height in meters, X seconds. So the height in meters has to be the Y. Okay, so right here at 0 seconds, it's taking off. It's not starting on the ground because it's starting on a platform. It's going to take off and eventually it's going to hit the ground again. What characteristic of the graph is that where it hits the ground? That's an x-intercept. So if we see something like hit the ground, we're finding an x-intercept. Okay? So I'm not going to do anything more to this one other than kind of get you started by saying that's what we're finding is an x-intercept. Now, what you decide is what do you need to work on the most when your teacher is here? What do you need the most help with? And that's what you work on. You don't go do the one thing you know how to do. Excuse me. Don't go do the one thing you know how to do because you can do that when I'm not here. Work on this stuff you need the help with. Okay? You have the rest of the class to work on this and ask me questions. I made a video so you can go back to it if you need to.